Hey y'all, this is Carrie Nicole. Thanks for tuning in. So let's talk about 3 warning signs that they're only in it for supply. So when you're thinking about toxic relationships, normally inside of those toxic relationships, you are supplying them with something. And oftentimes, and I'm not going to victim blame here, but I am fascinated by the why of things. So oftentimes the why of them needing supply is because there's a huge void that they need to fill, and that usually comes from a core belief that happened in childhood. So if they were devalued in childhood, then they need somebody to affirm them and validate them constantly. If they were abandoned in childhood, then they need somebody to constantly reassure them to make them feel safe inside of their relationship and that they're not going to be abandoned. If they were consistently abandoned, then they might do the thing where they push you away or self-sabotage and then have you continuously earn their love back. And that's just in an effort to make sure that they're safe and that they don't get abandoned and that they can actually trust the process because they trust in abandoning. So they want to create a situation that they can control and they know what abandonment looks like. So they actually create that situation. But because you're you try to earn their love back instead of leaving. So in any of these type of situations, the person is truly looking for some sort of supply from you. You are a utility. And based on that, you're never going to be able to do enough to fill that void because people can only achieve wholeness if they themselves have the ability to create wholeness within. There is no you complete me. There is no if you're 80, I'll be the 20. Like that works in behavioral situations and relationships. But in being, people have to come to you. They can still be healing. They can still have hurts, but they have to come to you with consciousness about those things. And they have to come with you with the ability and motivation to actually work on the things within them. If they don't do that, then they're going to be looking for supply from the people who are easily guilted, shamed, and blamed. And those people will do the behaviors and be emotionally attached and invested in this trauma bond and continue to try to earn their love back. And that earning fills the void for them. So, what are the warning signs that they're only using you for supply? Well, the first one is they only love you when you're happy and palatable to them. So I'm going to give you some examples of these and then tell you like how to be aware of them. So an example of this is when I was in a toxic relationship, there is this aura about me where I'm like the cheerleader, right? So I'm always excited about what's going on in people's lives. I'm excited about what's going on in mine, but then some days, like, human here. So some days I just might not be feeling it, or, I might be having a bad day, or I might have reached my emotional capacity, and so I don't have as much to outpour. And so on this particular day, I wasn't coming with as much energy, right? So we're on a phone conversation, the energy was kind of low, and he made the comment that my low energy was putting him in a bad mood. And so I get that, right? Like your low energy could put somebody in a bad mood, but their choice can be to stay on the phone and be okay with the fact that you're in a low energy state and be there to support you, or get off the phone because they don't have the capacity at which to support you during that process. And so in this situation though, I was being guilted for having a normal human response, which was just having a bad day, in a way that made me feel like, okay, I'm guilty for my bad day. I feel guilt and shame for, giving those negative juju to the other person, and I'm not allowed to have a bad day. The reality is that relationships that support your existence know that you're going to have a bad day, want to support you in that bad day. And also, if they don't have the capacity, they can communicate that. Like, I know that you're having a bad day. I'm not going to be able to provide a solution for this. I don't really have the capacity at which to XYZ, but I can sit here with you. And that may be all you need anyway. But if they're only nice to you when you're happy and they only show you love when you're happy, they're trying to do some conditioning in there. It's like training an animal, truly. Like, I'm only going to give you this treat when you go to the door to use the bathroom outside. I'm only going to give you my love when you're displaying something that I need from you. And in an effort to train you to not have a bad day, to not have actual emotions, I'm going to withhold that from you so that when you have a bad day, you won't bring that to me, because I don't want to have to deal with your, what I perceive as negative emotions. So there's no way that they really love you in that. They're using you for supply. They only want you around when you're happy and in a good mood, because that supplies them with something. The other one is they don't let you be your authentic self. So the first example is a portion of that, but in not letting you be your authentic self, that's like you're not allowed to be mad. You're not allowed to be funny. You're not allowed to wear the shoes that you want to wear. You're not allowed to wear the clothes that you want to wear. It's really saying you're policing yourself and doing the whole walking on eggshell thing, because you have to filter everything through the lens of what is this going to produce in them. So if I wear this outfit, how are they going to respond? If I sing this song really loudly in the concert of my car on the way to work, clearly I do that, then are they going to judge me for this, singing of the song and acting in my normal authentic self? Am I going to be able to be sick? Am I going to be able to have a bad day? Am I going to be able to be frustrated? Like, if you can't exist in those spaces, then they're only using you for supply, because they only want you when you're at your full capacity. They don't want you when you're a human being. They don't want you to be a human being. They want you to be a useful being. And so when you're useful to them, then yes, you can operate in what they perceive as your authentic self. And the other part of this is they put you on this pedestal, right? Because when they met you, they filtered out all the negative things and they held on to all the positive things, right? Because in their head it was, well, I can get rid of those negative things because I can go and shame those away. But these positive things I really like. So I'm going to put her on this pedestal, or him on this pedestal, based on those things. And then they try to convince you that that's who you are, but they've eliminated all of the human elements of you. And now they're trying to get you to be this version of you that you created, and it's not really who you were in the first place. It was their filtered version of you, because what they filtered out were the things that didn't serve them, and what they kept were the things that did. And so when they filtered out all of these other things, they created this persona of a being. It's unattainable, because no one can be that all the time. Like, I'm a great cheerleader and I'm cheering all the time for everybody's successes, and sometimes I'm burnt out and tired, and so you might not get much cheerleading from me that day. It's just part of being human. And so the example that I have of this is that there are these boots that I love. They're real leather. I think they're super cute. They're comfy boots. You can wear them with like leggings. They're not Uggs, but like a version of, like they're that similar type where you can just wear them with anything, right? And so I wore them all the time, especially on the weekends and like the winter. I would put them on because I was like, this outfit looks cute with them, and they're super comfy and they're going to keep my feet warm. And there was this one time where I was in a relationship and I threw those boots on with, I don't even remember what I had on. But I could tell like prior to that he didn't like the shoes, right? But I wore them anyway because they were like super comfy and they were one of my favorite pairs of shoes. So I put these shoes on and he goes, yeah, those are my least favorite shoes that you own. Now, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but again, 1,000 tiny little bee stings can lead up to this. So up until this point, bee sting, you're not funny. Bee sting, this joke wasn't funny. Bee sting, you're not allowed to have a bad day. So you've had all of this chiseling away at your being. So when you say, well, those are my least favorite shoes that you own, he knew that he was putting a thought in my head that the shoes were ugly, and because he didn't want me to wear them. And that might seem like something really small, but when it's done over and over and over again, you start to abandon yourself in order to appease this other person. And he wanted me to look good on his arm. And if he didn't like the shoes, he thought that other people might judge the shoes. And it's this whole weird, like, I want her to look like the trophy that I've put her on the pedestal to be, and these shoes aren't doing that. So let me make her think that these shoes are ugly in an effort to eliminate that from happening. And so I wasn't able to be my authentic self. The joke example that I gave earlier happened. Like, you're not really that funny, but I am. Like, everyone else thinks I'm funny. You just don't think I'm funny. And like, a part of my true being is to put joy in people's life. And I love making people laugh. And so if you don't think I'm funny and now I'm stifling all my jokes, then I'm not really showing up as my authentic self. And because you now have control over who I am, which is what that is, right? That's manipulating to have control for you to not show up as your authentic self, because your authentic self has a shadow. Your authentic self has things that aren't really palatable to that person. Then you're going to show up as the version of you that I need, that feeds me with the supply. So I know that I'm always going to get that version. It makes me feel safe because you're never going to buck up against me. You're never going to do anything wrong that makes me think you're going to leave or that I want to leave you, etc. Not allowing you to show up as your authentic self is definitely a sign that they want supply from you, because they don't want the whole you. They only want the pieces that they think and deem have put you up on that pedestal. And the last one is, it's one-sided. So they only do and say nice things when they need validation. And my example of this one is like freaking amazing, because I couldn't even believe it happened when it happened. But I was like, is this real life? So in this relationship, the person was in a financial constraining situation, like loss of job, had another job, like it was a whole situation. So Valentine's Day comes around, and I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day because I know that it's a made up holiday to show someone that you love them. And it's like, oh, I hated you all year, let me buy you a gift. Very weird to me. I always think that those Hallmark holidays are strange. But if you celebrate Valentine's Day, no shade, I just really don't I don't see the need in it. Now, birthdays, on it, because that's your special day, and like no one made that up. You were born that day, and that is a blessing, right? But Valentine's Day just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day. Well, on this particular Valentine's Day, not only did we celebrate it, because I was told that I never really checked in with him to see if he celebrated it, even though the year before we didn't celebrate it. And told you there were financial constraints there, but he purchases an Apple Watch. So I opened, that's so funny. My Apple Watch was listening to me and just said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry too, girl. I'm sorry too. No, but so he purchased the Apple Watch, right? So I opened the Apple Watch and I was excited because I liked the gift. But then there's also this piece of me that was like, oh my gosh, like that is going to put you in a terrible financial situation, because now your phone bill is going to be more. And I felt like a burden, because your phone bill is going to be more, and it's because of a gift that you bought me for a holiday that I don't really celebrate. So it just doesn't really make sense, right? So I was excited and I said, thank you. And I was like, I appreciate this so much, and because I felt obligated to buy him a gift, I bought him a gift when he said he was buying me a gift, even though I don't celebrate Valentine's Day, which is a whole new story in and of itself. But his Valentine's Day gift wasn't there on that particular day because he wanted to give me the gift early, and his wasn't coming until actual Valentine's Day. So I didn't have a gift to give back to him. So of course he wasn't going to feel appreciated and valued because there wasn't a gift for him, even though he knew it was coming on Valentine's Day. But I didn't react the way he wanted me to the gift, right? And so here's how that panned out. It was, you weren't as excited as I thought you would be. Do you even like the watch? Because it doesn't seem like you're appreciative of the watch. Now, this whole time I'm setting up the watch because I'm like, oh, this is so nice. Like, I'm going to set it up and attach it to my phone. And I guess my focus wasn't supposed to be on the gift. It was supposed to be on the gift giver, according to him, which is why he bought the gift in the first place. And so because I didn't give him the response that he thought that he was going to get from that, I got the cold shoulder. I got the, you're passionless, like all of these, comments to assault my character. And later when I looked back at it, it clicked for me because I started thinking about other times where that same thing had happened on Mother's Day. There's evidence of it. And I thought to myself, wow, he didn't buy the gift because he wanted me to have something. He bought the gift because he wanted me to do cartwheels in the middle of the floor to make him feel validated for the gift that he bought. He needed supply. He bought me a gift so that he could have supply in appreciation for the gift. It wasn't ever about how useful that gift would be to me. In fact, if I'm being honest, I had told him prior to that I didn't want an Apple Watch again because it messed with my eating disorder tendencies, because it tells you how many calories you burned in a day, and it made me feel like I need to eat less and like all of these things. And so there was this piece of it that I was like, why would he get an Apple Watch when I told him that piece of information? And why would he spend that type of money when I know that right now he's in financial constraint? But I was still excited and appreciative. It just wasn't enough, because the only reason that he gave me the gift in the first place is because he needed some form of validation and excessive appreciation, because regular, everyday, mundane, and I use that word because, that's how he felt, appreciation was not enough. It had to be in abundance because of how large his void was. So, what can you do if there are signs that they're only in it for supply? Well, if they only love you when you're happy, then that relationship cannot be for you, because you are not ever going to exist in this world always happy. The world will give you trials and tribulations, and you should be able to exist in your relationship and have those trials and tribulations. You should be able to show up as your authentic self. And if you can't show up as who you are, or you're being judged or held to some sort of higher standard because you show up that way, then you're not able to be your authentic self. You're not in the spaces that you should be in. So you really need to reassess that. Really do a check and say, you know what? I can't show up as who I am. I can't show up really as me and be in the space with this person. So this person probably isn't for me. And if it's a one-sided relationship, meaning they only do and say nice things when they need validation, then you should know that that's not love. Love looks like consistently keeping your well-being at the same level as they keep their own. And if they're only doing things to get something from you, then they're not particularly worried about your well-being. They're only worried about their own. Thank you for tuning in. I so appreciate you. Remember, if you're healing from a toxic relationship and you want to emerge in powerful peace, click the link below. And also go to my social media sites on Instagram and Facebook, where you'll find the link to a free webinar that teaches you the concepts on how to find powerful peace after a toxic relationship. Again, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, tune into the Peace Podcast, follow me on all social media platforms, and like and subscribe to this channel so you can get more information.